like problem and giving breaks and giving the knowledge and the interest that we are able to get together and eliminate the crutch that we were using. We, as a group, do not, our group is not, are not prejudiced against people that have drug problems as well as alcohol. And we share the thoughts that we are capable of being whole again without relying upon a higher power. Higher power has, I feel, was misconstrued in the program as a god. We're and it has stretched beyond my comfort zone. And there's other things I wanted to say, but I'm getting crowded, anxious.
You want me to take over?
Yes, Ed, please.
Hello, my name's Ed, and I'm an alcoholic. I pretty much have led a godless life most of my life. I lacked religious training to begin with. My mom said, "Do you want to go to Sunday school?" And I said, "No, cartoons are on. What's wrong with you?" So my sister was the one who went to Sunday school. I was told about 2 years ago that I had a fatty liver or I needed to quit drinking now. And the way my doctor said it, I was like, oh, wow, he's adamant about this. I need to quit drinking. And like I said before, I used to live in Austin. I was part of the arts and music scene, and I drank a lot. I drank a lot, and I did a lot of drugging too. Where I lived in Austin, by the time I moved out, there were 7 brew pubs within walking distance from my house. So there was no reason not to have a beer in your hand. So that was just part of the culture when I was living in Austin, was you're going to be drunk. When I decided to quit drinking, my friend Dawn said, "Hey, I've been sober for years. Let's go to a meeting." So I went to a meeting, not remembering that AA is heavy on God. And you have to resign yourself over to a higher power who's going to solve everything for you. That's not going to work for me. So we went to, the first meeting we went to was a Lambda meeting, which was a gay meeting. And I thought, this is great. This is great. Maybe they're a little bit more free thinkers. Maybe there's not going to be so much God stuff. Well, in San Antonio, everybody is Roman Catholic. It seems, at least to me. There's a lot of God at that meeting. And I just kept thinking, this is not going to work for me. This isn't going to be working for me. And Dawn said, get what you want out of these meetings and leave the rest. So I went to a couple of them, and I just kept thinking, no. So I tried to find other meetings that were closer to my house that might have a little less God, and I was wrong. They had more God. So eventually I looked online, and I was trying to find the agnostic meeting, because Dawn had said there's got to be one in San Antonio somewhere. I found it. I walked in, and there was 3 gentlemen sitting in chairs, and one of them said, "Are you looking for a meeting?" And I said, "Yes, I am, because we're a bunch of heathens. Are you okay with that?" And I said, "That is why I am here." So originally, the Big Book, which is kind of like the Bible for AA, it was written in the 30s by rich, white, Christian men in the 30s. So now it's pretty antiquated. In fact, the words and some of the things written in there are painful to read now. Very derogatory towards women, very derogatory towards anybody who's not white or Christian. So this is a book called Staying Sober Without God. It's written by Jeffrey Munn, and basically he got the Big Book, not the Big Book, the 12 Steps, and rewrote it without all the God references. It's pretty interesting because he compares them both, have them both listed, and you can see how he altered them. And so I've just started reading this. I'm almost done with it, but it's really helped. And there's a lot of people that the God part of AA is not what they need to help them get better. So this kind of steers you in the right direction. And even some of this stuff I didn't agree with and it pissed me off. But like Don said, take what you need and leave the rest. I don't know what else to say about it as far as atheism and AA. I have a hard, yes.
I was just going to say, did you find that people blamed your heavy drinking on being godless?
No, I was a
Never?
punk rocker. I was a drunk punk rocker. It wasn't I was godless. That wasn't even part of the discussion.
But I
I,
mean, of people from outside or people from,
that never came up. That was never,
okay, okay,
Yeah,
I
I-
just wondering.
yeah. Good question though, but that never really, that was never something that came across.
One thing I've found in the groups is that I want to say traditional, but that's how they refer to it. The traditional AA structure feels that if you are godless, you will not become sober.
Yeah.
They do not feel that you are capable of becoming sober without believing and handing it over to God
To
to
your higher
solve
power.
your higher power, to solve your problems. And to me, that's, kind of silly.
There's also, your higher power can be anything, and they offer you all these different options, and your higher power can be a doorknob. If you need to have your higher doorknob, so that's kind of a running joke is my higher doorknob.
It's, the support system I receive from attending the meetings is what I need to solve my problems of addiction. And, we call it the group of drunks is our higher power. I don't understand why they decide that you have to focus, on something like that. I think believing in yourself and being responsible, taking, I'm losing words again, taking the responsibility for yourself and then learning to become more aware and becoming a better person. And the guidelines do help, get inside of yourself and self-help yourself to discover situations that you would be able to become a better person, not relying on outside means to bolster yourself up or be able to take care of situations.
Yes,
So I'm wondering if you learn that you don't need a higher power, do you eventually get to the point where you don't need to be part of the group?
It depends, certainly that's gonna be a personal, option. If you enjoy gardening and you've grown everything you want to grow, do you continue gardening? I feel like I don't go to as many meetings as I used to. I'm comfortable with my stage of sobriety and my, commitment to my way of life now. But it helps me keep up the perspective of being who I am and helping share to others to, help them possibly, the person that's still struggling, to show them that there are ways to do it without, needing to do things that you're not comfortable with, but there is hope and strength.
I know people who have quit drinking totally without AA.
Yeah.
It wasn't even anything they
Maybe,
even
yeah.
thought about or doing. They quit drinking and they're still sober. My brother, he's got COPD and he had to quit smoking. And if he was drinking, he'd start smoking. So he had to quit drinking in order to quit smoking. And he hasn't drank in over 10 years or smoked. He's still got COPD, but it's not always a necessary thing to be in AA to quit drinking. But for those people, more power to them. And I have discovered the fellowship that I feel with the people in my meetings is amazing and wonderful. And that for me is my higher power, It's just that being part of that group. And they say sometimes that AA is a cult. If you read all the big book and all the stuff, and that's one of the things that totally turned me off about all those other meetings. There's all these chant response, read this, do this, and I was just like, oh, this seems like a cult to me. But our agnostic meetings, us particularly, our group is kind of like the rules don't really apply. We get a lot of stuff they tell us not to do in the meetings. We talk to each other, which you're not supposed to do. Everybody's supposed to have their own individual shares. It's much more a feeling of camaraderie, fellowship, and unity.
Do you do other things besides have, the AA meetings, like?
We try. We all have varied interests. Sometimes we'll go out to eat together, not affiliated with the AA thing, but we'll just join each other to go eat. I think, what else?
There have been outings we've done. We tried to go bowling one time. But,
I got her to join my senior center.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Exercise.
yeah.
I have a question if I may. Do you think people find it easier just to throw their problem to the God higher power than working through it on their
Okay.
own?
One thing the way this is written, there's a lot of, when somebody is first trying to quit drinking and they know they have a problem and they're an addict and they are really struggling and suffering and just, they need, or I'm not saying they need, they might require themselves to feel like, I can't do this, I need to resign it over to somebody else. And I feel like if that is enough for them to make that first step, more power to them. Because I think eventually, once they start feeling better about themselves and everything, they're gonna take over doing that. But, I mean, I know what you're saying, because I always feel that same way. That's why I thought this is a bunch of bullshit. I'm responsible for this. No higher power is gonna fix what I am capable of fixing myself. Does that answer?
Yeah, it does. I'm only asking because I'm a widow, and when my husband passed, I had a lot of people throwing Christian stuff at me.
Yeah,
And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
and yeah, dealing with it was the worst thing I ever went through in my whole life, but I made it through without find somebody
Yeah.
outside
yeah.
there.
Have a blessed day.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite. Yes.
I was straying a little from the news. I read that they found that GLP-1 drugs, like they say that for some people, it stops the craving for alcohol. Is that correct?
I have heard that too.
I didn't know about Ozempic, but I knew about there are other drugs that supposedly do that.
Particular drug, but
yeah.
at that time. It doesn't work for everyone. And I think the fellowship part is certainly important for almost anything, so that could be, but I have an experience in our family. My father was what people call a hopeless alcoholic. He went with his fourth wife to AA for many, many years, and it did not take at all, partly because of she was terribly into it, and she was the poster girl for Val Catholic, because she had 1,000 all over. It worked for her. I did not work for father. And I'm somebody who really believes a lot of what we do is chemical based. So rather than environmental. So this is that's been interesting. Whether that's hopeful or the stuff that could be part of treatment or helpful.
I have a few things, the things you touched on, one of which is I've studied a whole lot of abstinence groups, right? One thing they have in common, the ones for what that works for people, is the support system.
Definitely.
AA or any of these, you know, but the advantage AA has, although I have some issues with it, is that it's pretty worldwide. It's got more members than any other group by far. The second thing is, well, I probably three, is that the whole medical psychology field has progressed a lot in the last century, right? And, you know, I've read a lot, just so you read about it, I guess Bill Wilson on a belladonna trip thought he saw God, right?
Right,
And so you kind of wonder this.
Yeah.
And just like you said, you know, the teachings were written a century ago almost. And we've learned a lot about psychology and medicine in 100 years, but AA doesn't seem to have changed much.
They haven't updated?
it's,
Not much.
They're working on it.
So I really have a problem with somebody who's so driven from something that was developed 100 years ago and not even open to change. And so that bothers me a lot.
I agree with you a lot. AA, for me at least, this is my personal opinion, it's not, I'm not speaking for anybody else. It works for a lot of people.
Right.
And that, I think, is the only reason it keeps going.
Right.
Because there are things that I totally disagree with it on so many points. But if it's gonna help somebody else's whose life is not working and they're getting better, good for them.
So my question would be, does it work because of the camaraderie and support system? Or are the 12 steps really something that are just so important you have to do them? I mean, I guess I have an issue with that.
I have not done the 12 steps. I have no intention of doing the 12 steps. I've never had a sponsor. I don't want a sponsor.
Okay, well, you've answered my question.
Okay, but I agree with what you're saying, because it's archaic. And like you said, almost 1,000 years ago. The 12 steps, from what I understand, were originally the 6 steps,
They were original.
but then they got pulled out to 12 because there's 12 apostles.
Well, I remember that they were
Okay.
really developed by somebody in
Yeah.
England or something, some
Oxford.
group, Oxford, yeah. And so, I mean, I've read a lot of research on it. So,
Yeah.
so I'm looking at something where you can get the parts you want and not get the parts you don't want.
Right, right. There are other ways to become sober that don't involve AA.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I
I agree, yes.
Let me see, there's one more question, but maybe somebody else can talk. I'll think about it here in a second.
One thing I'd like to comment on that, the structure of the 12 steps gives somebody to hold on to when they're truly struggling.
Yeah,
And they need focus,
direction.
they need their nose to the grindstone sometimes. I am not one of those people, I enjoy reading about them, but I don't practice them.
Remember what I was going to say?
Yes,
The
sir.
whole DSM-5 that came out over a decade ago, right? And where alcohol, well, they've changed it where it's a grayscale, right? You know, there's mild, moderate, severe, and so the substance abuse criteria varies broadly. And, you know, depending on where you are, but the whole word addict and alcoholic are kind of a stake in the ground. And some people can be, you know, in the hospital with cirrhosis of the liver, not going to live. And some people, it's like, yeah, once I have a beer or two, I want 2 or 3 more. And I hate having one word to cover such a broad spectrum of people that have substance abuse problems.
Yeah.
Do y'all have to feel that way?
I agree.
I mean, you know, it's kind of an archaic word that is still used a lot, where I think it's a grayscale, and I don't know how you can approach that. And the whole thing about, you know, my name is whatever, and I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
It bothers me.
Yeah,
It bothers me. Instead of saying, you know, I'm this alcoholic, you know, I find that, you know, a couple nights a week, I drink too much.
Colleen, at our meeting, she says, my name is Colleen and I'm a sober alcoholic.
Right.
We have other people who say, well,
I'm in recovery.
I'm in recovery.
Okay,
Yes,
Okay.
there's variations on that,
okay.
yes,
That's my other comment, so.
yeah.
I was just gonna say, but can you look at it like it's a starting point and then just take what you need? It seems like
Yes.
that's what you two did. You
Yes.
took what you needed out of it and then got your own thing going.
Yeah,
So at least it was a starting point. Maybe?
It pissed me off and it made me want to find something else. And I found the agnostic group.
Yeah.
So I refused what I wanted to and then took what I wanted to. Yes, yeah, yes.
So I have a brother-in-law that was now, and our business, I don't know who you say they were, but he had joined AA, but he was not a believer. But he is from New York, and so apparently they have fewer hardcore Christians in AA groups in other parts of the country than San Antonio. So, you know, as long as I knew him for quite a while, and I divorced my wife, who was my link to him, so I don't know much of what he's going through now, but it went for quite a few years, and he would call up a sponsor but he was not a believer at all, and so he interpreted higher power to say to be like the power of the group of people,
Yes,
rather than something outside of nature. It was these people that grounded him, and that was an important part for him, and it was allowed him to continue being in AA by ignoring all the God talk. But there wasn't apparently a lot of it in some parts of the country.
The more liberal parts of the.
yes, yes. That's what I was surprised about.
And then he moved to California and found something out there as well.
Yeah, about how heavy the religious faction is in San Antonio.
Austin's a pretty liberal kind of, Travis County or city of Austin. Do you know of any similar groups here?
Yeah, there's one called Children of Chaos. They are agnostic alcoholics group. I think there's another one too, but I don't know.
I'll just go Google it.
Yeah, and I know Children of Chaos meet, I think it's at noon, Monday through Friday. And I'm not sure if this is the exact location.
Okay, no, thank you.
The
Yes,
name of the group is Galano, and
Galano?
it's in Guadalupe, and they're from Florida. Galano is the Children of Chaos, and I go to that meeting.
Wonderful,
And
thank
it's
you.
LGBTQ, and I chose that one because, not because of the LGBTQ, but it's fantastic because it's got all kinds of folks.
Yeah.
And supposedly I'm highly educated, when I went to school so many years. and got a PhD in whatever. I saw Richard Dawkins in Princeton,
Oh,
his
wow.
speech, blah, blah, blah. But I still like drank, and I didn't always get in trouble. But when I got in trouble, it took consequences. And my opinion would be that people, at some point, people would say, you have me dance the rain dance, so I can save myself, they would do it. What I've learned in these few months is the concentration is so weak, one gets out of oneself. That means I think people have a problem with a higher power because they feel conquered, or they be there, or they have a master. And I think I was missing the point. She just concentrated on not being herself because what I believe hasn't worked. These steps are really simple, but you need a translator because yes, it was written 100 years ago.
I recommend this just for the way he alters it, takes the God stuff up, and it's pretty Buddhist. It's pretty Buddhist. A lot of it's basically don't be an asshole, be a good person, that kind of stuff. If you feel like you need to do this, like the 12 steps.
I was just gonna ask you, are they open to non-LGBT straight people?
It's open, yes.
It's open
I,
meetings. Open meetings are,
I'm not here to promote or whatever, but I just.
yes.
I'm very
Thank
progressive
you.
little person.
Thank
I have a lot of gay friends. I'm transgender.
There
So
is
it just
something,
makes it very flexible and open to all kinds of folks. If you feel you're too high in their level, then you're missing the point.
yeah,
If you're higher than you're a helping hand.
yeah.
And if you think you're the best, you're an idiot because you're not. So I think it's just, it happened to me that I walked in and then somebody said, welcome for him. And then I felt so much shame that then you feel, I used to go to some other, like Northern, where it's very white and very,
Right.
progressive, and
I've
you
heard
go,
that.
come on, if I don't self-flagellate, I
Yeah,
won't say,
right.
fuck this, I mean, screw this, I'm sorry. So that's one, and
Yeah.
so. That's my, but it's called Galano, and the noon is the LGBT.
There is an app called the Meeting Guide.
Oh, yeah.
And the logo of it is just a folding chair. And it lists all the AA meetings for whatever location you're in, and it'll tell you it's agnostic, LGBTQ, whatever the rest of the letters are. Traditional meeting, you know, it'll give you where you can go and at what times, for what days. So I'm sure Children of Chaos and whatever else should be listed on there.
But yeah, if you get both under Children of Chaos and Club Delano or something, I think they both show up, right?
Yes, if you go, galanohospitalano.org,
Yeah.
and they have many of different Al-Anon, whatever. I chose the 12 noon because it's very pompous, and very diverse.
Yeah.
And some people live under a bridge, and some of them drive a Land Rover, so it's inclusive. The common denominator is that we are all in trouble, otherwise we wouldn't be there. And so, me, I need help, and now I have, so I need a translator, so it's another agnostic drunk that has been divorced, so whenever I spill the beans, he said, you better on that.
Yes.
Because, you know, now I know I have a monster, I just have to keep it inside, it's my own business.
Yeah.
And we all do have a monster inside. That's what's weird.
Sounds like my conclusion.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Thank you.
that's
Tyler.
what
Thank you,
recommend,
thank you.
so I think I'll be happy with.
The only other thing that you mentioned was the whole thing about, him, seeing God on Belladonna.
Yeah.
They never truly bring that out. It just says, you will have a revelation, you will see that. They never mentioned that he was high on Belladonna, but he had his.
Yeah.
That's one thing when I was reading, I went, Bill, one of the two guys that wrote the big
The
book.
original.
Yes, part of the thing is that eventually you will have this big revelation and you will be a better person and become sober. And he did his when he was high.
Well, they're making the mushrooms gonna be high, pretty, I mean, legal pretty soon.
Yeah, so everybody will be able to experience that.
They don't give you that at the AA meetings.
You go to New Mexico or Colorado or Oregon now.
Yeah.
Wow. Any other questions? Yes.
I have a question. I already told you two about that. My father's an interesting position because he was, for a number of reasons, because number one, he had a Bible in one hand and a beer can in the other. And also because he was to a position where he could drink a lot of beer without having much effect on him. He wasn't passed out, he could drink 8 beers a night and he was able to go to work and achieve a lot of external success. So I'm curious about, what is your view about if you know somebody that's being an alcoholic, do you approach them, or is it something that you wait for them to come to you, or what's your philosophy on? Because most of us here don't believe in proselytizing our ideas, yet we believe in advertising events. So is that the same thing for alcohol, that you don't want to proselytize your group, or how do you reach out to people you see that are alcoholic?
I think the person you're talking about is someone who's called a functional alcoholic,
Yeah.
like
High
they're
functioning
drunk,
alcohol.
but they haven't been arrested, they haven't crashed their car, they still have their job, they're still functioning, but they're still a drunk. There was one time I had a friend and she was going to be the MC for a open mic, stand-up comedy thing. And she could barely stand up when she got up there to MC this show. And she is the only person I've ever pulled aside and said, hey, if you're gonna keep doing this, you can't do it as drunk as you were that night. Your body's
You're
not gonna take it.
non-functional.
Right.
There
You're
wasn't a high
non-functional,
function-
you're non-functional.
You weren't a functional
Right,
alcoholic.
and everybody in the crowd's a comic and they're all going, hey, what she had, you know, and just making a joke of it and stuff like that. But she's the only person I've ever pulled aside, like, if you want to be successful at this, you can't do that.
Is it different with everybody? I mean, I don't know. I had a sister who was a terrible alcoholic. She's dead now. But, when I look back, I used to say things to her, but I didn't do it in a very nice way.
People will only quit drinking when they're ready to quit drinking.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll make it real quick, and I have a buddy I've known since high school. really good friends, and we were really young, we partied, did all this stuff out. He was great. And he asked me how much to drink. I said, well, I'll have 4 or 5 beers every night. And so, he would never say, so one time we were together, he goes, I'm gonna say this one time, and I won't ever say it again. He goes, 4 or 5 beers a night is not good. That's not normal. That being normal to you means there's something wrong, and he never mentioned it again. So, your good friends will generally treat you with respect.
Do you have an opinion on Al-Anon? Because I went to, when I was very young, I dated a fella that I was crazy about, and he was way off the charts. And I was so upset about it because I loved him so much. And I went to a couple of Al-Anon meetings, and it just turned my head around. I went, oh, and I felt like I learned so much.
To be honest with you, I'm not familiar with Al-Anon. I've never been to one of their meetings or anything like that.
I've heard very positive things
Yeah,
about Al-Anon. In fact, I had thought about going to a couple of meetings for my own personal education, similar to one of the reasons why I'm here is, to share my information, but also to know yours better. As a group, AA cannot become active in any other groups besides their own. But as an individual, I like to educate myself and have as much knowledge accumulated as I can, so I can live life at fuller than when I started. So learning things, and I've heard very, very positive things about Alan. And also Code is a new one that's coming up, codependency. They're having group meetings for help people that have that issue in their lives of codependency. And I think what we were talking about earlier, the community really is one of the reasons why I think people, once they are involved in a group to assist in getting recovered and assist in their sobriety, one of the reasons they stay is because of the community. You do get close knit. You become friends, and you share things with people that nobody else knows about you, because that's you getting down into the deep and dirty. And
Real quick. Real quick.
And so you do build a strong companionship. Anything else?
Well, I've never drunk or taken drugs. It's hard for me to put my mind in the place of a person that feels like they needed that, or that maybe they just fell into it. But for one thing, it doesn't make me feel good. Maybe I haven't drunk enough. I don't
You
know.
have the right drugs.
Don't do it, don't do it.
Don't start.
If it makes me feel dizzy, I'm not interested in it.
Exactly.
And so the closest I ever got to being drunk ever was by ignorance. A friend of mine who was a large fellow, and we each bought a 6-pack, and we drank them in about an hour and a half. And I didn't know any better. And so then I said, well, let's go get something to eat, because I hadn't eaten in a while. And I put my head down, and the room, I remember it still, it got up and it started moving around, and I went outside and threw up, and that was it. And I never tried that again. But I did,
Good for you.
I wanted to be able to fit in.
Oh, yeah, that's a
And
big
so-
part of it.
Then I said, well, if I don't fit in, that's too bad. And I'll just have to find some other friends, I guess. But it's really hard for me to put myself in that place. I don't know what people get out of it.
Okay, there have been studies that show alcoholics' brains function differently. They get higher than you ever would. So they want it. They want to go up there again, and eventually they keep trying to get up there, be that high.
And your tolerance builds up, so
Yeah.
a 6-pack of beer won't bother you like that.
Yeah,
You try to
so-
do that.
If you had 2 beers and threw up, good on you. Good on you. You're not one of the people who's gonna be an alcoholic.
I understand it totally, because that's how I started, was with my girlfriends, and we'd have a couple beers and we'd all giggle, and then, it just
goes, yeah. And then you're drinking at 10 in the morning. That, things like that. You have no desire to drink at 10 in the morning.
Yeah, I have.
To relate is, I know what you're saying because I can see that there's just no conception of knowing how we can get ourselves in this position. How do we manage to get that far away from being not like you, that doesn't, why do we want to get our altered states? And it's different with everybody. There's some people that felt like they couldn't even get, stand up and talk in front of anybody unless they had a couple drinks. Or some people that felt uncomfortable until they had a couple drinks, or, and other drugs too that are involved, but, we're all different. And,
Some people feel like they're running away from something. Some people feel like they're running towards something.
yeah.
I just like the buzz. I just like the buzz.
Yeah, the problem is, the first
It's-
20 minutes or so, you get a really nice buzz and it
And
goes
then it's-
down. And you gotta do it again to get that, but it
Yeah.
never, it's a
An
vicious cycle.
addictive personality. It's like, oh, there's a plate of cookies over there. I'll just have one. And then the plate's gone.
Yeah, I have one drink, and she doesn't understand why I want 2 or 3 or 4. And I'm like, I want that, that's all I want.
What do they say, one's enough and, no.
One's too many and
and
1,000 ain't
not
enough. Yeah.
Are we good? All right.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, the one other thing I wanted to say was at AA meetings, sometimes it's not, they'll ask, is there anybody else from another group who wants to be recognized? And sometimes I'll go, yeah, I'm from the agnostics group, and I'll tell them about this book and everything. And sometimes their topic is my relationship with God.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then I'll bring up this and say, if anybody else doesn't really align with these, this is available. And after I say something like that, you can hear it
Well, that-
for a long time.
So how many people generally come to a meeting?
It depends what day it is, what location, what time of day.
What's the range?
12 to 25. My Zoom meetings are
Oh,
usually
Zoom meetings
from,
get bigger.
my Zoom meetings are usually between 18 to 35. But in-person's average, I'd say around 20.
The Lambda meetings on Sunday mornings are pretty big. They're like maybe a room twice this size with a lot of people in it. And Winners Club, there was always a lot of people at those.
I went one time.
Yeah, yeah.
That
It
was-
depends on the location. Yeah,
And also word of mouth. We put brochures out. We take information to recovery houses, sober houses. Some people don't know about it or haven't had the opportunity to do research on their own, so we try to get the word out. Yes, sir.
Do different meetings have different personalities?
Oh,
like
hell
different
yeah.
kinds of
Hell
people?
yeah.
And every day and every meeting's kind of different too.
yeah.
I mean, I'm fairly regular at the Zoom meeting almost every night, except maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I don't go, but,
I've never done those meetings, but I hear good things. And I always want to, but I never.
and we get people from Australia, Spain, Ireland, all over the world that are agnostic. It's based in San.
Tuesday night, my Tuesday night group, they're mine.
Part.
They're mine. Saturday's also really good. Saturday, my meeting's also really good, but a lot of people from the Tuesday group are at the Saturday meeting. It's Saturday, Tuesday, but there's more people sometimes at the Saturday meetings.
Saturday.
Although the Tuesday night meeting's getting pretty packed lately.
Usually in the evening? Always in the evening?
Yes. Well, no, not the Saturday one.
Saturday morning, Saturday 11 a.m.
But they do have them all throughout the day because sometimes people need a meeting during the day.
in different places.
Yeah,
Up 12 is 24 hours, I think.
yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I know
No,
I'm
it's
asking
okay.
so many questions, but you two talk with such confidence. When you started, was it scary? I mean, did you go through hell or what did it work?
It took time. I struggled.
It's called white knuckling it. It's, I mean, it's like,
What aspect of it is that way? The
Not
cordial
drinking.
eating?
No, not drinking.
alcohol
No,
is
not
everywhere. It is everywhere. And it's, I mean, on every commercial, you know, like, my favorite was this stuff called Voodoo Ranger. It's IPA. Yummy and delicious, and now they have like 6 or 7 different variations on that. And I thought I was really, really good till I was at HEB, and I turned around and there's a big display with the Voodoo Ranger, and it's this aviator skeleton guy with a cap on going, and I just immediately I'm like, I was salivating. And I thought, oh, this is bad. This is really bad. Alcohol's everywhere. It's like you gotta.
I got another quick question. I've been drinking Guinness in the can that's in a beer.
I've heard of this. I've heard of
It
this.
is the best tasting NA beer I've ever had.
Okay.
And so if you like Guinness, and I do, that's what I go to. And I read that you get a dopamine hit, kind of like a Pavlov's dog response. And so, you know, I'll chain drink a couple of those. And you can't drink a lot.
Yeah, they're in
It's
it.
really good.
There's a non-alcoholic beer you like. What is it?
Well, Chandra Bach came out with.
Oh, I
one.
drank that, yeah, I drank that one.
Yeah.
I like it, but if you're a Guinness fan, the Guinness NA is
Aviator,
real.
Athletic, something.
Athletic, the
Yeah.
whole athletic brewery is all.
It's all in
non-alcoholic.
it.
Really?
Yeah, the whole
But,
brewery.
I've tasted them all, and the Guinness is the best tasting
Uh-huh.
relative to what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I don't want to start dabbling with non-alcoholic beers because that to me would be my gateway to like, oh, this is okay.
Some people feel it could be a trigger to get into wanting the real thing.
Yeah.
I have not experienced that. It's like you said, it's a thought and it makes me feel good and I love the flavor of beer.
I do too.
And
I do too.
that's
Well,
why I
that's-
drink it. the
Maybe that's
non-alcoholic.
why because I can't stand the taste. So I
That
was
you're
trying to
you're very
acquire
lucky.
taste. And I had a bad experience. and
Yes.
I said, screw it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For 20 years, I couldn't smell whiskey, because that was my
Yeah.
first bad
See,
experience.
I have no desire to drink liquor. To me, it's just kind of gross. Yeah.
Because no one else wants to hear me say this, maybe someone here is sympathetic, but the library had an event with a beer.
Everything is there.
I'm thinking, oh, please, I'm not donating anything to you anymore. I mean,
They-
it just drives me crazy, and the tech open text is something, the 20 best cocktails. and,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
I'm
it's
thinking,
everywhere.
It's everywhere.
"Ah,
Yeah.
my
There's,
God."
I don't remember in San Antonio, there was an art event and it was the sip and stroll where you
Yeah.
could get wine and go
There's
see
the
everything.
women's wine hour where you
Yeah.
paint and drink wine.
Yes, yes.
And anything and drink wine.
Yes,
Yeah.
the women thing, yeah.
I guess I just haven't noticed it. It just, it's not something that I'm looking for or have
Yeah.
ever looked for. And so when I see something that says something cocktails, I just go on to something else. It's like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, I just think, what kind of- can you just talk about something?
Well, I guess some people are just plentiful and they don't look for anything else. I mean, there's AA for sex addicts,
Yeah.
meth addicts, gamblers, codependents.
Yes,
Choppers.
Whatever, one of the best pleasures of the flesh have been alcohol.
yeah.
And then some of the worst mistakes I've done, alcohol, and it just has been my problem that on one side you read metacognitive methods so that you get out of yourself, but you can't handle yourself, then you know what to do. And alcohol is everywhere.
It is.
Or maybe the Twinkies get you or something. Oh, no, maybe you're just a normie, I would call it. See?
Yeah.
And that's fine, because it doesn't,
Yeah,
Oh, it's not as transcendental.
A lot less.
Yes.
I'm so fond of it.
that's why it seems foreign to you.
Yeah, but
It's important
at
to-
least it doesn't make me non-functional.
Yes.
True, there's that.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of people who are alcoholics become cyclists. And it's like bicyclists, the ones who get the weird pants and the weird shoes and everything and do about really long rides. It's something else. Gives them something to do, something that's good for them physically as opposed to something that's bad for them physically. But I just kept thinking, oh, they're gonna go out and buy shoes and do all that, yeah.
Trading addictions.
Yes, trade addictions, yes.
I'm interested in how this is culturally, you talked somewhere about that, Colleen, you said there's people from different countries in your group, how is recovery in alcohol, because some cultures are even more into alcohol than the United States, if you can believe that.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, Ireland.
Yeah, so what differences have you seen with recovery for different nations and different cultures outside the United States?
The people I have been in contact with have been, basically white Anglo-Saxon, in their own countries. They, have basically the same structure as we do. And that the groups that they're involved in their cities and towns are similar to ours. I haven't experienced any major difference of the structure of their groups or of what they've been experiencing. It's all so very similar.
Do you think that the recovery model that you have is something that can transcend different cultures? At least Western ones.
Yes, Western. The structure of AA, it's a 12-step program. And you can, with the practical steps, you can take religion out of it. And it's a study of improvement, self-improvement. You could do this with Buddhism or, anything like that you wanted to get into. Yoga, intense yoga is going to be something that you could not only physically become better, but you can also brighten your mind up as well. Your spirituality. This 12-step program enables, it goes across, it's good for everybody. Right? But it just depends on what you're looking for and how much structure you need to accomplish what your goals might become in trying to make yourself a better person. Like, where are you going with it?
Yeah.
How do you foresee it happening? What do you want it to become? Where are you going?
As far as what you said about perceiving what's going to be happening, there's a saying called play the tape. And it's like the tape in your head, like, instead of having that beer, play the tape of what would happen if you had that beer. Then you're gonna have another beer. Then you might have another beer. Then you might go buy some cocaine. Then you might go do whatever, and it doesn't turn out good in the long run. So you play that tape in your head to know that you shouldn't have that first beer. And so that kind of hopefully keeps you from having it. So that's one of the big things that I'm always like, play the tape, the ending is gonna be bad. Don't do it.
The quote attributed to Einstein is insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome.
Yeah.
And I use it a lot in my life.
Yeah.
I know we keep saying anything else and then we keep talking. So are we okay now? Is everybody good?
I need to get going now.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Official RF meeting. Thank you so much. Great. Yeah. I will put my work out today. Yeah.
Children of chaos.
Yeah, there's all the other A groups around here.